Did I say? Hey,
Hello, Anurag.
how's it going?
Pretty good.
Cool. Yeah, I have my headset on. You might still hear some weird noises doing a bit of construction right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, finally, I've been waiting to mount my TV on the wall for years and finally doing it.
Also, I'm jealous that you can that the
Yeah.
coronavirus rates are low enough there that you're comfortable having people come into
Yep.
your house to do things.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Uh, let's see here what we got. That, no, that. All right. Nope, wrong. Not Teams, Zoom.
By the way,
Ooh.
did it take
Oh yeah.
anything weird to work on OpenTelemetry in terms of Microsoft legal something or other? Out of curiosity.
Um,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Um,
We just got our sort of, like, I've been ignoring it completely, but supposedly you're supposed to file your PRs with open source team to get them approved or something until we get some special legal approval. So we just got it. It seems to still
oh,
be a similar process where you have to then have your PR sort of reviewed by someone. Alalita, I guess you've met before. It's another
yeah.
process, and instead of having it approved by legal, you have it approved by Alalita or something, and like the process doesn't seem to have gotten that much better. Is this like,
Ah,
as far as I can tell, Amazon still hasn't quite gotten the open source thing very like right yet. Microsoft, I guess it's easier to work on open source projects.
yeah. They've embraced. I mean,
Yep.
if you look at like 10 years ago or
Oh yeah.
15 years
Yeah.
ago to now, it's like different company.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but by the time I joined, I mean, so there was um, already um, people working within OpenTelemetry,
Mhm.
like Sergey um, Kansalov is one of the TC technical committee members.
Mhm.
So that was sort of in place
Hmm.
before I started. So that might have also helped
Yeah.
smooth my onboarding.
Cool. Yeah, I'm hoping this AWS thing now is we're at a second stage, and then the final stage is where you don't have to worry about it at all. But for now, there's still some worrying.
Okay.
Sending the draft
So
PR.
what do you yeah, so what do you
But
do with the what do you need to do with PRs?
so you have to run them by Alalita before sending them out for real review. I'm not sure exactly what she would do. I guess she
Okay.
confirms whether the content is light enough to not require legal review or not. I don't know, but I'll
Okay.
still continue to ignore it as I've been doing. But
Okay. Good. Yeah. If there's anything I can do to help,
I don't. This is just on Amazon's side.
yeah, but it
Yeah.
also impacts the Open Telemetry project. We
Yeah.
want you to, you're a
Yeah.
great contributor. We don't
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
lose your cycles
Yeah.
to legal
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I can manage that somehow. Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but don't. I mean, if it doesn't sort of resolve on its
Hmm.
own after some period of time,
Yep.
it's definitely something that we could chat with like
Mm.
the Open Telemetry Governance Committee or
Mm.
like,
Yeah.
just sort of raise it up a level of
Mhm.
people who know more about how to facilitate those discussions.
Discussions
Like,
with companies. Yeah. That makes
yeah,
sense. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
this morning we made a big decision
Mhm.
where we got to move off of Java 7.
Mhm.
I know you saw that. And yeah, that was a good point about Android. And I did reach out this afternoon to Morgan at Google to ask him if there was somebody in Open Telemetry from Google who could sort of represent the Android perspective, and pointed him at the new issue and if we could chat with them or something. Just, it feels like since we have Google in the
Yep.
room, we should, I assume they have, well, we know that they have interest because that's the whole reason why the API
Yep.
is stuck at an older level.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember one issue we had. There was one Google Cloud library, and they made a weird change to help with Android. Like, it wasn't really the right change. I would say it was something to do with ProGuard configuration or something, and it was affecting the non-Android builds in a bad way. And I posted to the issue, like, shouldn't you talk to the Android team for the best practice here? But it seems like it's hard to have those feedback loops even when you're Google. So I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big company, lots
Yep.
of different people involved.
Yep. Hopefully Morgan can find someone though.
Hey,
Yeah.
is that Frank? Are you?
Yeah, that's me.
Hey,
Hey.
Frank. Hey, nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, Frank.
Did you have some questions that you wanted to chat about? Or you just want to hang with us? If there's nothing else that people want to chat about, Anurag and I kind of go over, because Anurag is in Japan and the morning time zone doesn't work out for him. So we kind of just chat about things that were going on. But love for more people to join and bring questions to the table. So tell us what's on your mind.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about debugging, how to do it.
Mm.
So I looked at the issue you sent. I built the project with that Gradle property. It did not unobfuscate the class files. And then I tried the remote debugger, and it appears that the advice, when you're in the advice, it doesn't stop on breakpoints.
Yeah. So so that part, unfortunately, we don't have. So the advice here, let me just share my whole screen here so that we can pull up IntelliJ. Which advice are you trying to debug currently?
So I am trying to debug Servlet 3 advice in the IO OpenTelemetry Auto Instrumentation Servlet v3.0 package.
Can you see my screen? there,
Yes.
IntelliJ? Awesome. So this is the one, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the way that ByteBuddy works, well, not the way that but the default, we are defaulting to, we're using the inline. So for ByteBuddy advice, you can also do inline false. I have not tried it with this project though, but the implication of the default inline true means that this is not, the body of this method gets inlined directly into the method that it's advising.
See.
And so that's why the breakpoints don't work, because it's not really calling this method in this class.
Okay.
And I
Alright.
don't have a solution to that other than system out print lines here. I don't know, Anurag, do you have any?
When I have trouble debugging system out print line. Like I think luckily a lot of what I've been debugging is not the instrumentation. By the way, can you hear some weird construction noise, or is it okay?
That sounded like a screw getting
Yep.
drilled into a wall,
Yeah,
but
so that,
it
sorry,
was
that
not.
might,
It was not very loud. It was
okay,
not loud.
that might happen. Sorry. And yeah, so the things in the Bootstrap module, I believe, are the ones that are not renamed. So those actually surprisingly are debuggable in IntelliJ, and then everything else I usually just add a print line. Yeah.
I tried the print line, but that it looks like that whole method just doesn't run, and I can't really see
Yeah.
why.
That's hard to debug. Yeah.
Oh, so is it not coming, like it's not coming into here at all?
I don't think it is. Yeah, and it happens when I add a new class that I defined in that same package. And if I try and instantiate it, it blows up. Rather, it just doesn't do anything. So I'm not sure how to do that.
Yeah. So what you are probably hitting, and we can look at the, oh no, let me find this. Have you tried running with this setting?
I was looking for that. No, I have not.
That is an important setting. Yeah.
That is. Or is chat?
I've got it open.
Okay, cool. So if you run with this, it will give you a bunch of information. And let me just cover a couple things that are confusing and possibly happening. So you added a class to this package here?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Did you add that class to the helper class names here?
No, I did not know that existed.
Okay. So what's happening, the purpose of this, well, ideally we would be able to auto detect that we needed to inject these classes, but we're not that smart yet. So what happens is, so the servlet class itself that we're instrumenting is in, some class loader, in some Tomcat class loader, for example. So this instrumentation needs to live in that same class loader because we need to be able to reference HTTP servlet directly in our instrumentation. And so all of the classes here, the instrumentation engine will take those and inject them into the proper class loader where the servlet exists. Or, well, I guess actually where this HTTP servlet, this class exists. Yeah. And that without that, where are you calling that class from?
From, let me see here, servlet3advice.java. Just inside there, I'm wrapping up the response in a response wrapper to count the bytes.
Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, I think that may take care of it for you. It may just be adding the helper class here. The other thing that bites all of us more often than, or from time to time, is this thing called muzzle, which will suppress the instrumentation from even getting applied, which actually it may have muzzled you because you didn't have it in the helper class names. But try that, and yeah, and try that setting. And at least if you still have issues, if you post that full, just attach that full log file from this, we can look through that, and I can look through that and get hopefully a sense of where it's going, causing problems.
Okay.
Cool.
I always find it funny that it is the muzzle that actually bites and not, like, the muzzle is supposed to prevent biting, but somehow it is the muzzle that always bites us.
Yeah.
Is there configuration for that? The muzzle?
So what muzzle does is it looks at the instrumentation and it sees, okay, you're applying this advice, and it looks through this advice and basically looks at all the classes that you're referencing from this advice. So for example, we're referencing HTTP servlet response. And say that we've got our response object here, and we call, or a request object, and we call get, I don't know, let's pretend that there was a get status code method on the request, which makes no sense. It would kind of muzzle would look through all of these references and kind of create this list of all the methods that need to be accessible. Because what it's going to do, right, is we're going to inject this code directly into the servlet. And so if this method doesn't exist on the request object, that's going to cause it to blow up. And so if it finds that this method doesn't exist in your class loader in the HTTP request object class that is loaded, then it won't apply this instrumentation at all. This whole instrumentation will be muzzled.
Okay. I think that's exactly what happened. That makes sense. Because I also imported the servlet wrapper from JavaX, and I think I need to add that in there too.
So if it's from JavaX, you don't need to add it. So we are smart enough to build up this reference list of things that muzzle needs to check at runtime. So you don't need to add that to the helper classes if you see the helper classes here are just things here and our code that we're referencing.
Okay.
Or that, I guess, no, I didn't say that right. Helper classes are classes that we need to inject into the class loader versus the JavaX classes are already there.
Okay, that makes sense. I can give this a shot in the background while you guys continue to discuss.
Cool, awesome,
Cool.
yeah. Let's see, what else did we chat about that was interesting? So required for GA, I'm going to go through, so we decided that the specification label, I mean, the things that we mark as spec are probably required for GA, but there's probably other things, obviously bugs, some way for vendors to create distributions. Ted was on the call and mentioned he's been trying to sort of make this a term, make this an official like open telemetry distros, whether it's a collector distro or the Java agent distro. So he liked that we were thinking about that. And then the maintainers group, Ted and or some people are working on a list of like requirements around documentation, example code, perf testing that will be required for GA. Oh yeah, he added this doc. I haven't looked at this. Probably a lot of these things will just apply, I would guess, to the SDK. But some things like perf testing for sure, basic docs apply to us. So I'm going to go through and kind of try to take a first shot at tagging things that are required for GA, trying to just a very minimal set though. There's like a ton of things that I would be very sad if we don't have by GA, but I don't want to mark those as required, sort of to arbitrarily force us to do them, or at least to have that separation. You probably saw I don't know if you saw, I started tagging some things. I created a new label called discussion. Because I really, and think so it's been very helpful having you in now, like having, I feel like it takes 3 people to have a discussion.
Yeah.
So now with you and Nikita and myself talking through all these issues, it feels like, you know, like we're making good progress just in the issues on the repo. And whereas before, I would have to bring a lot more of these issues to the weekly SIG meeting just to get people's attention and opinions.
Cool.
So I'm thinking with the discussions of, I mean, like if it looks like it's just a discussion, label it that, and then when once we resolve that, then I kind of like the idea of creating a new issue with the actual action items from that, as opposed to just a forever long issue that, I mean, at least we can track back if somebody wants to go back and see why we decided XYZ, but those long discussions get long and a lot of not really that relevant once we make a decision and start working on the implementation. Oh yeah, we brought up, we discussed with Ted also your, yeah, so we all, I know Nikita and I went and thumbs up your proposal. So yeah, and Nikita is going to open a spec repo issue about this, and probably, again, knowing him, he'll probably include this also. Oh, I remember I asked people what they thought about the proposal to just auto install based on these environment variables. And the concern was, like, if you have in your environment, you have a bunch of these set, that it could be a little bit mysterious. And I mean, certainly you could unset them for a particular process, and I'm not really sure that's a use case.
Yeah. I haven't heard of that concern before. If you have the environment, that's pretty explicit usually. Like config file, maybe I can sort of understand, but even then.
Yeah, so it's worth, I mean, bringing that up in this discussion
Yep.
when, as an option, and see what grabs people's attention.
Let's see.
But I'm happy to see these things discussed in the spec. Even though.
Yeah, like I feel as if a lot of things start in our repo and then get moved to the spec. It seems like everyone's using Java. That's probably why. Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and then John showed he was working on, what is it? It's a spec. Spec in the spec repo. I think it is about timers. I don't think that already got, no, it must be timers. Consider, no. Oh, come on, GitHub. Why would GitHub not understand timer versus timers? Okay, I do think it was a PR, so I just need to go timer. Nope.
It's like the timed. I think there's one PR called timed instrument or something like that.
Thank you. Probably. One open. Bingo. So yeah, so he was playing around with this a little bit, and hopefully he'll post the code, because I know for us this is yeah, I mean, like, so how we do it currently with metrics is if you're doing sampling of, like, you know, only sampling say 10%, we put a marker on the span that we report that says that this is, you know, multiply this by 10 to generate metrics on the server side. But we would really like to be able to aggregate metrics on the client side that aren't affected by sampling, that are more accurate. So I think this is kind of going in that direction of how to generate, you know, your basic throughput averages, percentiles.
I mean, these are these related to spans? This is for generating these just as metrics, right?
It is, but the idea is somehow to tie them to the spans.
That seems really hard. Like we use no-op spans if it's not sampled. That means we would have to stop doing that, right?
Well, in theory, we could have, you know, a span. In that case, the no-op span would be just like
The
a
start time and end
timer
time.
span.
Mm,
Yeah,
I
something
see.
that was tied into the timer itself.
Hmm.
Um,
That's
John's, oh yeah.
that's because the instrumentation is simpler. You don't have to instrument it again for metrics. Is that the motivation?
So yeah, that's a good point actually. So John's code in his example that he was showing, it wasn't trying to piggyback on the span API.
Hmm.
He had a separate timer API,
Yep.
and he was showing creating the span and creating the timer. It was just a little rocky because you have to capture the start time first. I mean, he was capturing it in both places, but it could have used the span builder set start and
Yeah,
set timestamp.
that's an interesting point, huh? Like in Armiria provides the timings. Like we don't actually collect the timings in using Brave. We override. I think our OpenTelemetry also does have a way to set the times explicitly, right? Or are we required to use the OpenTelemetry clock? Yeah. So we do something similar. So Armiria, we use the library's times, so that allows metrics and spans to be synced up. I expect most good libraries would have something like that. But actually, yeah, I don't know. I should look at gRPC. That's a good question, whether it has timings built into the library itself.
Yeah, so right now, for example, we can do on the span builder set start timestamp.
Yeah.
So we have to, have our own clock,
Yep.
capture that, set that, and then
exactly.
when we end it also.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess so John's example was not trying to integrate them at that lower level, which would mean that we would need to go around everywhere and add that timer around there.
Yeah. It's annoying to add the timer, but at the same time, we need these metrics anyways, right? Like success, or I mean, I guess, can everything be derived from spans?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a kind of an unknown, like what dimensions do you want to split your metric by?
Yeah, that's also true, right? The tags and stuff. Let me see what Armiria does.
One nice thing to tying it to the span for like errors, right? We have a span error, or we will have a span error, hopefully soon.
Yep, exactly.
I'm very, very happy that it looks like we're going away from the gRPC status code. I did not understand that when I first started either. It was just like, what? This is not a standard. Like,
I still remember the only community meeting or whatever I went to, and Bogdan was like, yeah, Google has used this successfully, so it must be good. And I was like, I don't even remember using that at Google, so I don't know if that's even a true statement.
nice.
Yeah, like a request metric support. So I'm just sort of curious what metrics Armiria captures right now. We have like the number of active requests in the server. I guess that's also spans. DNS resolution time, connection acquisition time. These would need to be events on the span, but they could be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess in that sense, doing a skim of these metrics. Timeouts, maybe that'll require some semantic convention of a timeout, I guess.
Well,
Yeah.
certainly we could
Yeah.
have additional metrics.
Hmm. Yeah.
If there's so much like this, we're starting and stopping server spans, for example, though, like that feels
Mhm.
so naturally like
Yep.
that is the metric we want.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think using spans, timed no-op span seems to make sense. There doesn't seem to be reason to have yet another layer or anything like that. So yeah, I can get that. Yeah, I think also event like we should make sure. I don't think we do much with events right now. We should make sure we have some like I imagine we'll want to use events in those time spans also. We shouldn't forget that because events are just timings.
But events don't have a start and an end.
The metrics would have to compute like if it's, for example, DNS acquisition time, we would need an event for when DNS was acquired, and presumably the metric post-processor or whatever would be able to compute the durations from that.
Oh, from the start of the span to the...
Yeah, or between events or whatever it happens to be. Yeah. In that sense, I guess the no-op span does end up being almost the only difference is it's not emitted at that point. It would need the tags also, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you would want some,
Yeah.
and that would be interesting if there's a way to, because I know like our backend system, they want kind of specific dimensions,
Yeah.
and I could see different vendors wanting
Yep.
different
Yeah, like I think so. We'd need all the tags in the span and then probably pick which ones you wanted. And at that point, there's no difference.
performance.
So yeah,
you're not.
So
Yeah, it's unfortunate from a
yeah,
performance
yeah.
perspective.
But maybe that's as long as it's an option. Like it'd be easy to make that an option. You either use the real no-op span or the timed span or whatever. And where people do need the performance, they'll probably want to have the actual metric instrumentation rather than deriving from spans. The spans are much more overweight than
Yeah.
they need to be just for getting durations like micrometer or whatever. They use just some simple hash
Yeah.
maps and long adders or whatever. So most people would prefer that if the instrumentation had caught up, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't like it might not be worth doing this if we feel it's not even that good of an idea in the long term. We just need to have the proper metrics instrumentation instead. But it could still be a good short term if it seems useful for people.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what John
Mm-hmm.
proposes, because so far he was not generating them inside. Wasn't actually changing the API or the SDK. It was just adding in the extra layer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, these are gone now. Updated. Yeah, Nikita's been on a deleting spree.
I think Nikita's very worried we're not going to ever hit GA or something, so he seems to have gone on a rampage. Yeah.
Oh
it's
yeah,
it's awesome. Yeah.
He was and the maintainers meeting on Monday. He gave everybody a hard time about the spec. He was like, how is the spec ever going to get to GA?
Yeah.
We've got 80 open issues tagged for required for GA, and we close like a couple a week. So it was good. I think he lit a fire under. I've seen some more and I think it's the technical committee is sort of I think owns that repo. So kind of need more for them to be more involved and pushing those things to resolution.
I'm
not
happy
waiting
if
for
I'm happy if there's more steering, as you know, there's a severe lack of it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're not
like
all gonna magically agree
I
on
think
everything.
adding Nikita to the errors working group was probably the best thing for OpenTelemetry possible, because without him there, I don't think that would have gotten anywhere. And since he's joined, I think it looks like it's making a lot of progress.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah.
That was quite cool to see that.
Let's
Yeah.
see. I don't
I think
think.
that's the meeting.
Yeah,
Did you happen to talk about the instrumentation splitting thing I'm working on, or not really?
No.
Mhm. Okay.
Was there? Yeah, I looked at it maybe like last week when you had first put it together.
Yeah,
Um,
and just did some cleanups, and Nikita seems to be happy with the direction. And on the flip side of this errors working group stuff, Nikita also seems to be much busier with other stuff, and reviews aren't as fast as they used to be, which is
Yeah,
fine,
yeah.
not a problem. But that I noticed both errors are moving much faster.
Yeah,
Java PRs are a bit
yeah.
slower. Yeah. 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 I want to. Like
You want to?
um.
Is there anything in particular you wanted to share and talk
No.
through, or
No. I
yeah?
mean, I think it's just working through it with Nikita, but I'm hoping to get it in just because it feels like it's sort of blocking more stuff we can do on the manual instrumentation side.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I
But
sharing? No. What do we have? Yeah, let's take a quick look at our open PRs. Yeah, I went on, the issues were up to almost 100. So I went on a issue closing spree last night and
Yep.
got it all the way down to 90.
Yeah. That's pretty insane.
Um,
No, I know you wanted to close that KHTTP one because you're just like, oh,
yeah,
the more I can close.
I like, who cares about KHTTP? I don't care about KHTTP.
That's funny.
But yes.
Someone might care, so we have to be considerate for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of how to label that, like,
Yeah.
you know, appropriately, like, this is low priority, like, we're probably not gonna ever do it on our own, but if somebody wants to do this, that would be
I
super
think
cool.
backlog is a common label project
Backlog.
use. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then it's not, I mean, if we really,
How is
like
that different? Like, I thought backlog was just like everything was the backlog.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's probably just terming. Like anything that's not labeled backlog, I assume someone's going to do it relatively soon. But of course, that's just project management.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like there's no, like if it was Jira, there's something called the backlog. GitHub doesn't have it. So I consider the
okay.
Jira backlog to be the GitHub sort of the default state. That's my mapping of those two concepts.
Okay. So
Yeah.
backlog in Jira is things that haven't been like scheduled or like not
exactly.
on the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I would say that's the sort of default in GitHub. And so, yeah, I don't know, maybe
Okay.
backlog is a bad word because it's confusing with that, but I tend to use it on GitHub.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It would, but yeah, we have 89 issues. Like, I don't know if you want to get that whole Kanban board out on GitHub. I've personally never used it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Projects, yeah, there it is.
We're using it for just like the release by release. Just kind of, which that's kind of been the 060. Let's see, was like it was kind of helpful, I thought.
Yeah.
Just to pop in a few things and sort of have some semblance of target. Didn't mean to do that. Oh, thanks for approving this. So Helen is just joined my team. And so I think informally it's best for to have a to not merge something from your own, or it should
Got
have
it.
at least an approval from somebody from another company.
Yeah, yeah. Got it. Yeah. And actually, yeah, I noticed you're using Windows, but you never had problems with that?
Well, I set the
Or
actually
mhm.
what did I have with Spotless? I had some problem, but
Yeah, the auto CRLF or whatever.
auto
Yeah,
CRLF,
yeah,
as long as
yeah.
that seemed to
I
get
also
around it.
I
But
use
yeah, I like.
Windows a lot. Yeah, I've had so many problems because of Git attributes that now I just add it to every repo. It's auto CRLF seems like a really bad idea.
No, I like. I don't know when the last time I had tried. Like, I still thought that there were some, like Notepad, or I thought there were some things where I had bad
Yeah.
experiences without the CRLFs. But I tested it out, and
Mhm.
yeah,
Yep.
I'm happy with it. And
Yeah.
yeah, that will save us some headache from random Windows
Yep.
contributors accidentally changing the line
Yeah.
endings.
Actually, so speaking of Windows, so the GitHub Actions, how are we feeling on that? Like it's going to happen, or it seems sort of impractical, or any thoughts? Are we waiting on Nikita to explore, even though now he seems like he doesn't have any time? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I had raised the, so my motivation, well, I don't know. I don't really care that much. I'm super happy on Circle CI minus the cost issue. But I had raised the cost issue to Sarah Novotny, who is at Microsoft and is on the governance committee. She was sort of, when open telemetry and open tracing, when open census and open tracing came together, the governance committee was like half of people from each project, and then she was added, she came over from the Kubernetes project and as like a tiebreaker or somebody, so she's not super involved in the project, but she raised it at the governance committee meeting today as far as moving the Circle CI cost over to CNCF. So I'm waiting, fingers crossed, because if we can get that moved over, I don't really care at that point. If somebody wants to play around with it, it seems cool, but it seems like it would probably be more hassle than it's worth for us.
Like the one thing is that I found it very easy and nice to set up the Windows and Mac build on GitHub Actions. And maybe CircleCI supports it nowadays. I haven't checked their latest state, but that's my favorite feature of Actions. And even if we don't migrate the primary build to it, having one Windows and Mac build, I don't know, maybe that doesn't even make sense if it just takes too long to run though. But that was one, like it's always better for a open source project to be built on Windows and Mac to catch these issues where possible.
Oh, like build like a compile time for contributors or for runtime? Contributor issues.
Contributors, yeah. So in that sense, yeah, it might not even have to run the unit tests because our code is very unlikely to be cross-platform. Maybe just build. That might be one thing we do.
Right. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how with the Gradle cache and like if we can speed up the build, then maybe we could do GitHub Actions. That might be more reasonable.
Yeah. Okay.
I would guess it seems like we will eventually be on GitHub Actions. I'm just not personally, I don't personally care enough to, I was kind of curious to try it out to see if it would, what it was like and if it would resolve my Circle CI cost issue.
Yeah. And just out of curiosity, it's not something that you just email the guy at GitHub at Microsoft and like, hey, can you give us the paid machines for free or something?
I don't know. GitHub is kind of so
A separate org, probably, right? Yeah.
yeah. Internally, we use a lot of the Azure DevOps pipelines.
Mhm. Yep. Which
So
I think is what powers GitHub Actions, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just random. No.
Yeah.
Not expecting,
Yeah.
but on the
No,
flip
but
side, if GitHub starts using OpenTelemetry at some point, that'll be quite awesome. I think they need it.
have you been getting unicorns lately?
Yeah, maybe it's happening at Asian time. I don't know, but I've had 3 GitHub outages in the past 2 weeks. I think it's been quite insane
Oh,
lately.
actual downtimes.
Yeah. Like one of them, it's usually been the PR feature, I think. Like the PR doesn't render, the PR doesn't sync with the branch or something like that. Other features work okay, just not the most important one.
Frank, hey, just saw your comment. Awesome.
Yeah, it seems to be working.
Cool. Well, I'm glad that you joined, that we were able to help with that. Yeah, keep reaching out over the GitHub issues, and welcome to join. What time zone are you in?
I am in Pacific, California.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you ever want to join in, the Thursday morning meetings are at 9. It tends to be more, I mean, not like this meeting is a great place to come and, troubleshoot stuff. But welcome to join the morning meeting. And yeah, just issues are awesome.
Yeah, sounds good. I did make another one. Well, yesterday. I don't know if you saw it about concurrent.
Oh, the executor. Yeah. This looks like something that would be good to. I bet we can pop this into a test, one of our tests, and see what happens, and TDD it.
Yeah, it's a little bit non-deterministic, but they should all be under the parent. It's pretty likely that one of them won't be.
So
Yeah.
do you know what? Oh, go ahead, Anurag.
Yeah, I mean, work stealing is the keyword, right? Like if it happens to be the same thread, it's probably working well. If it goes to a different thread, it doesn't work. That sounds like the non-deterministic aspect. Yeah.
It's the same issue with the fixed thread pool. The ones that run on with
fixed.
those configurations, the ones that run on the main thread are fine, and the ones that don't are not.
Huh. You're using just the full, the agent. You're not okay. Because I know that this we do instrument executor service submit. Oh, submit. Yeah. And then get. Let's take a look here. Am I sharing my IntelliJ?
Yes.
Cool.
I have a feeling it's how the streams are able to somehow interface with threads just directly from the stream. Streams might not be instrumented.
Yeah, I've never tried with streams, but this still
It did work in the Java open tracing auto instrumentation.
Okay.
And even just the bare parallel stream, like not in an executive service using the common pool, that also did work in the Java special agent, I think it was called.
Does this by itself work here?
If that was just not in the executive service?
Yeah, just doing a parallel.
No, it does not work. I thought it
Okay.
might be an issue with the common pool getting loaded before the agent, but that's why I stuck it in an executor.
Okay, so it's more about the parallel. Gotcha. Okay.
Fork join pool. Yeah. Do we have a fork
Yeah,
join pool.java in there?
we do.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you
So
look on the whitelist in the abstract executor instrumentation, fork join executor is in there.
fork join.
Or yeah, the pool, I guess.
Yeah. Probably because we have that fork join task instead, but maybe there's something not working.
Yeah. Yeah. But that will be a good, and are we, do we have Java 8? So this will be nice, Anurag, once we bump to Java 8, because I think
Yeah, that's
part
a
of the
good point. Yeah.
problem here is that all our tests, oh, well, we have a completable future.
Ah, well, requires.
Oh,
Sweet.
okay. So yeah, we probably could just add a test here, a new test here, dump that code in, and hopefully see it fail. Cool, yeah, yeah, thanks for code and repros are super helpful.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to use all of this other code you guys have written.
Cool, anything else? Well, we were looking at the PRs. Was there any other PRs to the, okay, so this is the docs. Yeah, let's just see. I'll take a peek at this and yeah, hopefully we'll get Nikita's blessing and we can just start trying it out.
Yep. Yeah. So the first targets are OKHTTP and gRPC, I guess. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Because we have other reasons to do that, right? To extract them out. Our Java 7 thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be good to have a test there to make sure that we don't break the Java 7 support there when
Yep.
we bump everything else up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that will motivate us to split out the that auto bootstrap,
Yeah, that too.
the massive auto bootstrap. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm good.
All right. Well, hey, nice to meet you, Frank.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
And great chatting as always, Anurag.
Mm-hmm.
And see you all online.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.